Hello and welcome to Network Africa with me, Cynthia Ray. Now, 1 week after 89 boys were allegedly abducted from their homes, the United Nations is not only saying that the figures were underestimated, but is also saying that they were in fact taken for the purpose of being used as child soldiers. According to the organization, the number of boys kidnapped is in the hundreds and not 89 as earlier presumed, and their latest statement blamed a militia group allied to the government. South Sudan is in a state of civil war, with forces loyal to President Salva Kiir pitted against rebels led by former Vice President Riek Machar. The campaign group Human Rights Watch has accused both sides of using child soldiers. UNICEF said the boys were abducted by the Shilluk militia under the control of Johnson Oloni, which the government has previously said it has no control over. Now, we do have an update concerning the abduction, as the South Sudan spokesperson, that's this military spokesperson, Philip Aguirre, has confirmed that the military is investigating the matter at the moment and questioning the leader of the militia group, which is believed to be responsible for the abduction. But earlier on, I had a chat with the acting spokesperson for the South Sudan military, that's Africano Mande, Colonel Africano Mande. And I started off by asking him about the conflicting figures concerning the number of boys who were abducted last week.
Yeah, well, as I was saying earlier on, it's very difficult for us also as a military to publish the exact numbers of children that have been allegedly abducted. So until we finalize our investigation, I think we'll be able to come up with exact figures. So at the moment, we are still going by all the assumptions of 89 or sometimes 100 and whatever. But I believe once the investigation is complete, we'll be able to come up with the exact number.
And last week we spoke to you about the motive of the abductions, and you did say that there was not a possibility that, you know, they were being taken for the purpose of being used as child soldiers because the military is well equipped. But as the United Nations is also saying that hundreds were taken and that it's for the purpose of being used as child soldiers. What do you have to say about that?
Well, if you can recall from the previous interview I had with you, first of all, we are never in any position to confirm that these kids are being abducted and to be used as soldiers, because A, we are not the ones who did it, and two, we do not know who actually did it. But the argument we say is that from our part, SSDLS, speaking as the official military of this country, we are saying we are not in a position to even contemplate the idea of abducting children for recruitment because we have more than enough. But what is so critical to note is that that area has a number of ungovernable spaces, and there are many militia groups, there are many armed groups operating in the area. So some of them, they actually use such methods to build their force. But from our point of view, we cannot, first of all, speak for them. We cannot speak on their behalf because they're not them, they're not us. And number two, there is no way we can do something like that because we have more than enough. So we're equally concerned, as I said before, we issued a statement saying we categorically condemn actually such an act because, first of all, our Minister of Defense signed an action plan together with the various actors that are responsible for child protection. And number two, we have what we call the SPLA Act 2003, which actually prevents all the field commanders from the act of child abduction and the use of children as soldiers. We have codes of conduct in place, and the Chief of General Staff issues treaty orders every year with regards to that. So we have all the barriers in place to prevent our field commanders from doing such an act. So basically, whoever did it, we will be able to establish that, and then our report will be able to confirm all the allegation at the moment. Because if you look at the statement of UNICEF in particular, they are not even sure, because they are equally confused and in dilemma as to who actually did it, although they were zooming their reports towards one of the groups led by General Paul Johnson Holland, but they're not sure themselves. You know, so let's wait for the cause of the investigation, and we'll be able to see what the result result will be able to produce. And the reports that will be produced will be transparently distributed, and it will be for everybody out there to let's say, to read it. But otherwise, we regret for such an action, taking place in a country such as ours, although we're in a state of conflict. But we have to figure out who actually did it.
Colonel, thank you for clearing that up. But finally, I'd just like to ask you what the situation is, because we still understand that despite the deals that were signed previously, there's still crisis. Is that correct?
Well, it's correct to a large extent. First of all, we seems to be going around and around in a circle. There are quite a number of areas agreed on by both parties, but unfortunately, when the mediators met again in Addis Ababa to iron out a few differences that had existed, the rebel representative went back to what they were demanding before, saying they wanted a 50% army. Now, the argument is quite simple. The mediators and the government and all the other actors are saying that, that rebel group represented there is made out of probably 90% from one tribe. So if you're going to be giving 50% of the military to that rebel group, then that means you're giving 50% of this country military to one tribe.
That was a conversation I had earlier on with the acting spokesman for the military in South Sudan, Colonel Africano Mande, concerning the abducted boys who were taken last week. Now, we do have, joining us now live via telephone is Claire McKeever, who is the UNICEF's communication person in South Sudan. Claire, thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa.
Lovely to talk to you.
Now, I'd like to ask you what evidence UNICEF has in order to support the fact that these boys who were abducted were taken for the purpose of being used as child soldiers.
So UNICEF has visited the locations involved, Shuluk in the Upper Nile State in South Sudan, one of the regions in conflict here. And we've also been to Malut, which is a location closer to the front line in that state. And in both locations, we've spoken to very credible witnesses who have seen the boys both abducted from their homes and from schools, and also have seen them moved towards the front line.
So what is UNICEF doing about this situation in order to try to help or to address it?
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
I'm asking what UNICEF is doing about the situation. Now, since you say that you have evidence to back the claims, what is the organization doing to help these abductees?
Yeah, well, our priority is to get these boys back to Shuluk, where they were due to sit their exams next week and begin the new school year. So what we've been doing is advocating with the government of South Sudan that they should, it's their responsibility to ensure that these boys are released and that they can continue with their childhoods and not be subject to the kind of horrors of war that they will be if they are moved to the front line.
Now, Claire, based on your experience of seeing these kind of things happen in terms of children being abducted or taken to be used as child soldiers, how do you see this playing out at the end of the day?
Well, we're in a situation now, at least, that we know the boys were taken, and we've been able to provide a list of some of the boys' names, although we think that it could be in the hundreds of children. But of those lists of names, at least now we have an opportunity to say that these boys have been taken, that they must be returned. So perhaps we can remain hopeful in this situation that because these boys have been abducted, but at least we have their names, we can look for their return. Unfortunately, for thousands of children in South Sudan who are forced to be recruited, many times it may not even be reported, and for them it's very difficult, and for that UNICEF works with all sides here to demobilise the children that have been taken and to protect the children that have managed to escape from these groups.
Claire, thank you so much for speaking with us on Network Africa. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll take a break now on Network Africa. When we come back, we'll be looking at situations in Libya and Egypt. There's been a case of rockets hitting residential areas in Libya's Benghazi. That's yesterday. And there is also speculation that it could have something to do with Egypt's airstrikes aiming ISIS. Please stay with us for details.